Talk Live.
Hey, it is Free Talk Live. You're invited to take control of the airwaves here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We've got the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. And that's a way for you to connect to the show and sound almost like you're sitting here in the studio with us. And tonight, my Tuesday night crew is a little different than normal. Welcome to the program, or welcome back, Derrick J. Freeman. Hey, Derrick.
Hey.
And I'm Ian Freeman. And then, although no relation, I do consider you like my brother from another mother.
Thanks.
And Steven Zeiler is with us now for the first time as a co-host on Free Talk Live, I think. You've been a guest here and there and, you know, at Pork Fests and Fork Fests and things like that.
I've been a caller.
Haven't you been behind a microphone?
Oh, sure, but never in the studio.
Right, okay. You've been to Keene, you've come here a number of times, but you've never actually been a co-host for all 3 hours of the show. So welcome to Free Talk Live.
Thanks for having me.
And you guys, of course, as always, are dressed super, super nice.
Yeah, well, we heard there's a cam.
There's
a camera on this show.
There's 3 of them, as a matter of fact. So, and we're streaming on 3 different video streaming platforms. We're on YouTube, we're on Twitch, and we're on the new DLive.
Is that the decentralized one?
I'm going to put quotes around decentralized.
It has a D.
With a big question mark next to it. There's some major questions about how decentralized DLive actually is.
Okay.
So, you know, we're all kind of learning about it as time goes on.
Well, let's try and take it down. Then we'll know.
Well, PewDiePie, they poached PewDiePie from YouTube. The number one YouTube channel. They got him to come over to DLive.
Oh, and he's not doing YouTube anymore?
He's not doing live streaming on YouTube. I'm pretty sure he's going to keep using YouTube to upload videos, because why would you want to walk away from 92 million subscribers?
Right. I didn't even get the news about that. I like to watch PewDiePie, but
really?
Yeah,
so
he's funny, but...
now he can be the biggest fish in a tiny pond, which...
He was already
the
biggest fish.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to be like orders of magnitude bigger than how he was before on YouTube.
The reason I brought it up was because when he moved over, obviously, as you might imagine, a lot of his fans came over to DLive as well.
Sweet.
And so that must have been their stress test, right? Like to see if they could handle that level of viewership, and it worked.
So if Free Talk Live is there, then theoretically you could pull some of those viewers when he's off the air.
Yeah, exactly. And it's still a pretty small platform, so when we're on, we're usually like in the top 5 or 6 or 10 or whatever of the, you know, like the different shows that are on there. So you can follow us on any of those platforms, dlive.lrn.fm, twitch.lrn.fm, and we're still over on YouTube as well, but that's like the lowest resolution one, so why bother? So we got stuff to talk about here tonight, of course, and Stephen, you mentioned this story that I spotted in the news as well, and normally if we have the same show prep, it's usually a good idea that we should talk about it. And it's the chalking, not chalking like beautiful pictures or anything like that, but chalking tires, the thing that the government bureaucrats do in countless cities around the United States to somehow determine whether or not you've been in a place for a certain period of time, whether your vehicle has been parked in the same spot. I'm not sure exactly how chalking the tires, discerns that.
Well, it's like marking your territory. You know, they go and say, we own this car and we own this. We're going to write our chalk on it if we want to. And something about parking.
Yeah, I mean, it's always...
I think there's... The theory is if you put it like, at 12 o'clock on the tire,
right,
then even if someone moves and drives to another spot and then it's at like 6 o'clock, you're like, okay, well, this is marked, but it wasn't in this spot, so it's moved, and then they can come back 3 hours later and they can just look at the 12 o'clock spot on the back right tire and they'll know, okay, this car's been here for over 3 hours. This one hasn't.
Yeah, they say, oh, look, they've been here for 6 hours. See,
So there's big news in regards to this, and it's coming from various different sources. In this case, it's NPR. The next time parking enforcement officers use chalk to mark your tires, they might be acting unconstitutionally. Federal Appeals Court ruled yesterday that chalking is a violation of the Fourth Amendment. The case was brought by Allison Taylor, a Michigan woman whom the court describes as a, quote, frequent recipient of parking tickets. The city of Saginaw, Michigan, like countless other cities, uses chalk to mark the tires of cars to enforce time limits on parking. By the time Taylor received her 15th citation in just a few years, she decided to go after the city and after specifically a parking enforcer named Tabitha Hoskins. Hoskins, who Taylor alleged in her lawsuit was a prolific chalker. Every single one of Taylor's 15 tickets was issued by Hoskins after she marked a tire with chalk, then circled back to see if Taylor's car had moved. That chalking, Taylor argued, was unconstitutional.
Does anyone really care about constitutionality? Like anyone at all? Like the courts, the general public?
Well, the courts have to pretend like they care.
No, they don't. They don't even care. They don't pretend like they care.
They do. They at the very least make an effort to seem like they pretend like they care, because to some extent the court making a correct ruling every now and then, most of the time the court rules in favor of the state. I mean,
right.
Probably 99 times out of 100 they rule in favor of the state and making the state more powerful and giving it more control over people's lives. But every now and then there's like this one little bone that they'll throw out there like, oh, see, we care about the Constitution. We've made the right decision here. And it reinforces in people's minds that, oh, yeah, we do have the best justice system in the world.
Right. So like torturing people in secret prisons, we'll let that go. But this chalk thing,
that's
this has got to stop.
Yeah, exactly. Trespassing upon a privately owned vehicle parked on a public street to place a chalk mark to begin gathering information to ultimately impose a government sanction is unconstitutional under the Fourth Amendment, which is that one with the, you have to have, you have a right to privacy, basically. Taylor's lawyer argued in a court filing, a 3-judge panel of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Sixth Circuit unanimously agreed. Chalking tires is a kind of trespass, said one of the judges, and it requires a warrant. The decision affects the Sixth Circuit, including Michigan, Ohio, Kentucky, and Tennessee. So it's not a nationwide blanket decision from the Supreme Court, but at the very least, it's a potential step in the right direction that the Fourth Amendment protects people from unreasonable search and seizure. And, of course, I'm sure the government would argue this is reasonable. It's just chalking.
Well, take the Constitution out of it. Pretend there is no government. Is this wrong?
To chalk somebody else's tires?
Yeah, you walk up to someone's tires, rightly or wrongly, like whether or not you have the badge or the authority to patrol that area. If you're just some guy and you walk over to my car and you put chalk on it,
that's vandalism.
Is that wrong?
I mean, it's not the worst kind of vandalism because it's just chalk. It's going to wash off at the next rainfall. But it is technically, vandalism, right? Like you're putting something of yours on somebody else's thing, and you didn't ask permission to do it.
No.
I don't know. What do you think, Stephen? Is it wrong to chalk a stranger's car?
If you're over 14, then it's wrong.
Why would you give a pass to a 14-year-old or 13-year-old or?
Because they're going to chalk whatever they want. They're just kids.
Yeah,
they don't know.
They have no chalk conscience by that.
Don't you have to teach?
Chalk conscious develops.
But don't you have to teach children and young people where and when private property begins and ends and how these things work? I mean, shouldn't they be held responsible for their actions?
Well, in that case, then there's no chalking allowed at the park. There's only chalking allowed on your own driveway, if you're lucky enough to have a driveway. Or
the park's public property.
Who really owns that? And then get into it. The 2-year-old can't really.
Well, a private park could allow chalking as well. Right. You could expressly allow chalking at your private park. You could provide chalk for people that are coming to your.
Yeah, and
you could have a chalk park.
Chalk park.
Yeah.
I remember being out in I think it was Venice, California, where they have nice beach and the kind of the boardwalk thing or whatever, and they have these graffiti walls.
Yeah, like leave a message, and they've got like markers and stuff. I see that at events and festivals.
There's spray painters there like all day long.
That's awesome.
And they just spray over whatever was there. So whatever message or graphic that the artwork that spray painter puts up, they got to take a picture because you can't wait till tomorrow. It's going to be gone. Somebody else is going to walk up or skateboard up within a matter of minutes, if not hours, and just completely do over the top of what you did.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and that's cool. 855-450 freeze the toll-free number here. We pay a little bit closer attention probably than the average people to parking related things because we're here in Keene, New Hampshire, which is of course the home of the Robin Hooders, who for years saved thousands of motorists from the streets of Keene from receiving a parking ticket by the parking enforcement here. So I'm sure hopefully this is bothering the parking enforcement crew as we speak. More coming up here. It's Free Talk Live. It is Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything that you want here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Whether you want to comment on this news story about, not the Supreme Court yet, but an appeals court ruling unanimously, a three-judge panel ruling unanimously that it is a violation of your rights, of your property, for a police officer or parking enforcement officer to put a chalk mark on your tire, or presumably any part of your car. So you're welcome to comment. I don't think this is a controversial case. I doubt people have too much to say, but I think it's interesting, and I'm glad to see that it happened, because I remember during the Robin Hooding, all the things that went on with that over a period of years here in Keene, New Hampshire, where, for listeners that aren't familiar, a bunch of activists were sued by the city of Keene.
Didn't they call it? They said you can't erase that chalk because there was someone who was going around with like a sponge and just erasing all those chalk marks.
Garrett had, I think it was Garrett.
Yeah.
He had like a little squirt bottle, like a spray bottle, and maybe like a towel or something like that, and he was going around, removing the chalk marks. And they said they were going to go after him if he didn't stop with felony charges.
Obstruction of justice.
No, interfering with a police investigation.
Yeah, same kind of similar, but felony version basically of that.
Could you imagine
felony water bottle squirting?
Yep. Yeah. What a joke.
I know.
The city of Keene is like, they have the most soot on their face from trying to persecute people who are doing harmless stuff.
Well, apparently they also want to reduce the value of their property by making it all be very filthy all the time.
What do you mean?
The bathroom issue that
that we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we can definitely get into that too. Also, I want to let you know about Bitcoin.com. It's your premier source for everything Bitcoin Cash related. Bitcoin.com can help you choose a Bitcoin Cash wallet, buy Bitcoin Cash, and show you where you can spend your Bitcoin Cash. You can also read the latest news on their news site and engage with the community on their forum over at Bitcoin.com. Once again, that's Bitcoin.com. The court found that chalking is a search for the purposes of the Fourth Amendment because government officials physically trespass upon a constitutionally protected area to obtain information. Just as the Supreme Court ruled in 2012 that sticking a GPS tracker to a car also counted as a search. So is marking a tire with chalk to figure out how long that it's been parked, according to the court. And that search isn't reasonable, says the court. The city searches vehicles that are, quote, parked legally without probable cause or even so much as individualized suspicion of wrongdoing, the touchstone of the reasonableness standard. So basically, the chalking meets none of the requirements of, you got to have these things in order to be able to trespass on somebody's property as the government gang. Ellison, who's the attorney who brought the case, said, "We don't think everyone deserves free parking, but the process Saginaw selected is unconstitutional. I'm very glad the three judges who got this case took it seriously. It affects so many people."
Sorry to get into the weeds, but I'm really fascinated by this because
we do that here.
If it's wrong to chalk someone's tire, just like in a general sense, then is it also wrong to stick a flyer under their on their windshield?
Yes, it's the same.
That's trespass, isn't it? Yeah. If we're saying that this little minor infraction is a crime, even a minor one, then it's also wrong to lift up someone's wiper blade and stick something under there
True.
that they probably don't want.
Definitely they don't want it. But it's a calculated crime. You're like, I want to get this information out, and I'm willing to be a criminal for it.
To take a risk. Now, what is the actual, value if there were to be a case brought for somebody who was so angry about a flyer under their windshield that they, took somebody to small claims court? I mean, is it the value of the time that it took the person to remove the flyer and put it in the nearest garbage can?
I would go with emotional distress.
Or if
there's someone stalking me,
Maybe it caused an accident. They didn't see it until far too late, and then
they
it got in their
while
eyes.
driving.
Yeah,
sure.
And they died.
It could be. Seems unlikely, but it could happen.
Okay.
And, it's funny that you bring that up because that's one of the things the Robin Hooders did.
Yeah, they left their calling card.
Right, but we would only leave them on the cars that we saved from getting a ticket. So we
How do
presumed,
you know?
Well, because we would normally walk right in front of the parking enforcer.
Mm-hmm.
So we knew where they were going because we were maybe 20 or 30 feet maximum in front of them. And so any meter that was expired that we reached before they could reach, we would put a coin in that meter and then drop the little calling card underneath the person's windshield wiper. And I am with you on this, Stephen. I find flyering cars to be a tacky thing to do. I don't support it. Like when activists would talk about flyering, let's go flyer downtown. Like, nah, I think that's not something you want to do. I think it's going to make people angry generally to find what I would consider trash. I would consider it less than trespass, more littering.
Here,
like,
you throw this away.
Yeah, this is garbage that this person now has to deal with. And that's so, like, I can totally understand where you're coming from, but the whole idea that we save the person $5 or $10 made me feel like most people would appreciate it, and so that's why I was okay with leaving the Robin Hood calling cards and not anything else.
What if it was money?
What if you put a dollar bill underneath it?
Yeah.
I think most people would be okay with that.
Yeah,
right?
but okay with it, but still a crime.
It's still some
That's
sort of a
trespass.
crime.
Yeah.
Is it an actual trespass? I don't know if it's really like a trespass.
You're on their property. I mean, you're touching it. You're modifying it.
Either way, it's not as fun as the trespass that Derrick has been up to recently, where he's giving
Do you want
people
to talk about that?
fake parking tickets.
Oh, yeah,
up.
this is
What?
great. So you can order these on Amazon. I got like, I don't know, 100 of them.
Are these
for
the karma
$15.
tickets?
No.
They
These
look
look very
real.
real. You
Really?
can order, they have all different kinds of parking tickets that you can give people. But it drives me nuts when I go and park into a spot and, someone's like way over the line and then I can't get out. And it's so annoying, So I keep these extra tickets in my car that I purchased just for this purpose. And it's got all the legit reasons. You would think,
$100 fine.
Yeah, and they look totally real. It says like made out to the city parking. Like you must mail it here,
But it doesn't say
downtown.
City of Portsmouth.
No,
on
it doesn't
it
say
says
exactly
city
where it's
parking
from.
agency or
But it's
something.
enough to fool people because I've like peeked out the window to check like when they're getting it. Like, oh, are they getting upset?
And they're like,
I didn't. And they like check the curb. They check all around. Like, who gave this? What? And yeah, so I advocate this. I think it's a fun thing to do. Totally harmless.
So, is there like a mailing address on there?
Yeah,
Is there some company that's making money off of this?
No, I don't think so.
What happens when you send a check to the address on the?
It's got to be just some like 123 fake street or something. Like it's just.
You haven't checked?
No, I
It's mainly used to prank our friends. Like you put like no overnight parking on their thing. They're like, "What? I wasn't here overnight."
I have given them out to people who are taking up 2 spaces or whatever because. What can you do to someone who's it's not a serious crime, but I want some way to get back at them, because they've harmed me a little bit. So I'm going to harm them back a little bit. It's totally harmless way. It's not like I'm causing them any money damages or anything.
It's just a little mental stress.
Yeah,
that's all.
Just a little bit. Maybe
it
they'll
caused
think
you
again.
some stress.
Well, maybe they'll think again. They were hoping they wouldn't get caught. They're like, "Yeah, I'm way over the line. I'm gonna fix it."
And you can't stand around and wait for the person to come back. So this is a way to give them a message.
Yeah,
and you can just leave it there and then go off and do what you were going to do.
Exactly.
It reminds me of the Karma ticket, which is like this again, a ticket book that you could buy online. And I don't remember if karma tickets were for good karma or bad karma, but
probably both.
Something very similar. There's more coming up here. 855-450, free like freedom. Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live has found that though U.S. financial institutions are prohibited from doing business with foreign gambling websites, it's not illegal for U.S.-based internet users to gamble on those sites. People have been using VPNs or virtual private networks to connect to sites like games.bitcoin.com and play games with Bitcoin Cash. Games.bitcoin.com features poker, blackjack, roulette, craps, keno, slots, and dice. You can conduct your own investigation at games.bitcoin.com. Hey, it's Free Talk Live. You dial on in here toll free at 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We've got the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. If you want to jump in here and get on the air with us, you can talk about whatever is on your mind. We've been talking about sort of parking-related things. The story that brought all this up was an appeals court in the United States. The Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals has decided that government bureaucrats putting chalk on your tires is a violation of your rights. They say if they want to chalk your tires, they got to have a warrant to do that. And the odds that they're going to be able to get a warrant to do that seem pretty slim. So that's good news. And then we ended up talking about the violation ticket things here that Derrick J. Freeman has acquired on Amazon.
They're just as real as the regular kind.
The
kind that anyone else hands out.
Yeah, I'm going to show the actually, I don't think I've even turned the switcher on, so I'm going to turn the switchers on. We'll wait till the switcher gets over to the camera here, and that way our people watching the web feed can see exactly what these things look like. They're very nice. So I'm going to put this in front of Steven's camera here. You can see violation, real like bright red, bright yellow coloring. So it's, high contrast. It's easy. People are going to see this as they're coming up to their car.
Oh, as soon as you see it on your window, you're like, what happened?
Right.
And you're out $100 or something. You're like,
if you're in a big city,
have to fight it. And, I'm definitely going to fight this. One of my friends, Joel, said he was upset.
And it even says $100 fine right on the front of the ticket. Offender notice. This violation has been issued to the registered owners of this vehicle. The violation has been issued for breaking city codes and or local parking ordinances. Yeah, it's the same kind of text that you would hear or see on a parking ticket. But thankfully, there's not actually a mailing address. And if you read the small print, it does say, finally, this ticket was issued by a concerned citizen and is not an actual fine. This ticket is for entertainment purposes only. So somebody that actually does their due diligence and reads all the fine print will know this is not a real ticket, but it's definitely going to give somebody that feeling, right?
I think they're going to get the message.
Sinking sensation.
And you get to tell them why. There's a checkmark box. It's like, okay, taking up 2 spots or, I don't know. It would be good to have a good one. Like, you're in a fire lane, man. Like, or you're double parking somebody. Like, these are actual...
There should be ugly car.
Well, there's other. You can just write it in.
I like this because it reduces the perceived authority of the people who normally hand these out. If anyone can hand these out, then, who are they except for people with a button-up shirt?
Yeah, I think that's really important, and it's kind of part of what, a lot of the activism has been here in Keene over the years is reducing the perceived authority of the people calling themselves government by laughing at them and by showing how ridiculous they behave. I think you were commenting off there about their just constant ridiculous behavior here in Keene. And the only difference between Keene and anywhere else is that we've shown it here. Like, we just point video cameras and then put the footage online or make movies like Derrick J's Victimless Crime Spree. They do all the work. Like, we couldn't have done the things that we've done without them acting like asses. And, we just publicize it. That's the only difference. There's stupid bureaucracy and ignorance and rudeness in government bureaucrats, all across the United States and across the world. It's just that the one thing we've been consistent at is showing people how ridiculous these people are. And I think that's so important. There's a whole category at Free Keene called Laugh at the Aggressors.
Yeah.
And that's because they hate it when you don't take them seriously. They want so badly for you to respect their so-called authority.
Even if you are angry at them, I think they would prefer that because it's a form of respect. It's like, this is an adversary, a worthy opponent that I am angry at. They're getting me so upset. They're under my skin. They're affecting me. They have power over me.
Right. They want that kind of reaction.
But when you're laughing at them, they have no power over you.
Exactly. In fact, it reduces their power in general, because if other people see you laughing at them, or like if we're in the court and we're all sitting when the judge comes in,
he hates that,
and
right?
Other people see it. If other people see it, it damages their it damages the reputation of the entire court system, because people can't understand. They're like, "What? Why wouldn't you stand?" You're not standing for the judge. And then if they don't say it out loud, but that's going through their head. And if you get enough people to do it, then the regular folk in the court will go along with you. So if you have, let's say, close to half of the courtroom, and they don't stand up for the robed person who enters the room, there's this sort of natural groupthink thing that goes on where other people aren't seeing anyone stand up, so they don't want to be the one that stands up, right? So they stay seated. I've seen it happen. In fact, it's so common in the Keene courts that the bailiffs have been instructed to handle things differently when we're in the room. they will just not say "all rise" anymore. They won't say it.
It used to just be that Judge Burke would enter and he would just say the first thing out of his mouth was just like, "You may be seated."
Yeah.
He would just like under his breath, before anyone could say anything.
Now, there is a new judge, newish, like within the past couple of years.
Oh.
So I don't know if they're still doing this with the new judge, but with Burke, towards the end, every time we were in the courtroom, didn't matter if we were outnumbered. They just wouldn't even say "all rise." So no one would be given the chance to be seen staying seated, since everyone would just stay seated. Because nobody's going to get up for the judge just because he walks in the door. It's that bellowing of "all rise" that the bailiff does. That's the cue. That's the signal to all the normal folks in the audience. Oh, better stand up now or else we're going to get arrested.
Yeah. They're shouting already.
Yeah.
They must be angry.
Right.
So in a way, you were winning by showing the world that you aren't going to stand up. And so now they take that away. So
it was brilliant.
You get the real win ultimately because now you don't have to stand up or anything like that. But
well, you got to give them credit.
To show it off.
Yeah, you got to give them credit for thinking of that, right? Like they broke their, this is the way they operate in every court everywhere. The bailiff says "all rise," everyone stands up, the judge walks in. They've completely broken the tradition. Yeah. Simply because people weren't going along with it anymore. So they're like, all right, well, this looks bad for us. Just don't say it, okay?
I mean, Keene is outrageous. I remember Ademo hat backwards sitting up on one of those pew stands, recording video with, from his handheld. I mean, you don't see that in any courtroom. So they've really pushed the envelope here.
So if you want to join the show, you're welcome to. It's not all going to be reminiscing here, but it's not really reminiscing. It's what's true today. It's because of the activists who did what they've done over all these years. It's changed things, and I think ultimately for the better in a lot of different ways. Although the city of Keene bureaucrats still continue to act like asses, like with a recent the story about the pho restaurant that opened up here in town called Pho Keene Great. Really cool name for a pho restaurant. They acted just as ridiculous as they always had with that and targeted this lady, telling her that the name of her business was offensive and that she wasn't going to be able to put a sign up with the name of the business on it. And then finally backing down 3 weeks later after a huge press uprising. The story went viral.
They had like a line out the door the first day they opened, right?
Did.
And yeah, amazing.
Yeah, I was actually there. It was fun.
Cool.
It's nice to do that. We're still working on getting them to take Bitcoin, but hopefully that'll be the next big article about them.
Oh yeah,
I think that'll be fun.
Yeah, once all the demand dies down, once they're probably all still swamped with people going to their store.
They're definitely busy. But I know one of the two owners wants to do it.
Great.
So that'll be cool. But my point being that as many times as the city of Keene bureaucrats have looked like total asses in public, they just keep doing it. They haven't really learned their lesson yet, it doesn't seem. And unless there's a conspiracy theory, and that is that Ms. Dragon, the new city manager here in town, that she's actually really, really smart, and that she knew this was going to backfire.
Which was going to backfire? The naming thing?
Her threatening the owner over the name because it's their tenant.
Maybe she's invested in fucking Great.
Right.
And she wanted to cause a big commotion so everyone would go there and support them and buy their shirts.
At the very least, she's invested in that they're their tenant. They're renting from the city. So maybe she knew that if she made a big stink about this, it would get them a bunch of publicity for free.
You'd think if she was that smart, she'd be running a business or something.
Right. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You bring up what you want here. This is Free Talk Live. Hey, it's Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us here. The toll-free number, 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We have the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. So jump into any one of those, and we'll join you, and you'll sound almost like you're sitting here in the studio with us. Tonight in that studio, it's me, Ian.
Derrick J.
Steven Zeiler.
And by the way, for listeners who are not familiar with the two of you, you are also the founders and the main folks behind AnyPay.
Yeah.
Which I'm a huge fan of. In fact, lots of people in the Keene area and Portsmouth, where you guys hail from these days, the sort of the western and the easternmost parts of New Hampshire, these are the two hotspots for using cryptocurrency in real life. and you can actually go to physical locations, actual mom and pop brick and mortar stores, and use like Dash or Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin, Zcash, and others. The big three here in this area for retail are Dash, Bitcoin, and Bitcoin Cash. I would say probably in that order would be my guess. But there are other options that you can set up, especially if you're a retailer and you want to accept cryptocurrency. Didn't you guys just launch Zcash shielded transactions?
Yeah, we've had Zcash for a while.
Right.
But now we're, I believe, the only payment processor in the world that allows you to send a shielded Zcash transaction in a retail space. So like it's Zcash, Z address to Z address is what it's called. So
technical question.
Yeah.
Does the retailer, does the business owner have to have a shielded Zcash address on the back end?
Great question. No.
Okay.
So you can just have a regular Coinomi wallet or whatever sort of Zcash address you've got on your mobile phone.
A little more complicated to do the shielded stuff, right?
Right. Yeah.
You got to be really into it, basically.
Not anymore. They've made it easier over the years.
You have to be half really into it now.
Yeah.
But now you can use a normal transparent address.
Yeah.
And that way the customer, it can still retain privacy.
Right.
It's much harder to track where they're going and how they're spending their money.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So the customer, this money for the general public, the effect is you're using this money that just poofs into existence and then poofs out of existence when you're done using it. So it's the most private digital cash you could possibly have. It's the most like cash.
Is it better than Monero?
Well, they're similar. They have a lot of similar qualities.
Okay. Because I know I like Monero just because I see it on the darknet sites, and I'm like, oh, it's got to be good. You know, if the darknet's taking it.
Well, there's a thing about cryptography which says the longer it's been around, the more trustable it is. Mm-hmm. And Monero's been around longer, at least. It would just hit its 5-year anniversary since the fork that spawned Monero.
Mm-hmm. But was it a fork? I thought Monero was its own, like they cooked up their own thing.
Well, actually, it was a fork of something called Bit Monero, which was the progenitor. And Bit Monero had this secret backdoor that allowed the founders to secretly mine a bunch of extra coins. But within like a few days, the community found out and they forked, and that became Monero.
I did not know that.
So Monero is really great. It has a great history. Zcash has a lot of awesome mathematicians behind it, and it's
a different crowd.
It's supposedly mathematically more secure.
Really?
Yeah. Like, you're right, Monero's all over the darknet. You never see that. You do see it on Open Bazaar, which is an online marketplace where people can buy all kinds of things, and Zcash is there.
Okay,
Monero's not. But they go about their privacy in two different ways.
Yeah. I think they're both very, very respected from what I can tell. Like the two best of all of the different privacy cryptos out there. And now you can take it through AnyPay. So if you haven't done this yet, you can go to their new website, helpmetakebitcoin.com. What is it, 4 steps? I mean, it's 1, 2, 3. So easy to get this thing started. All you do is first, make sure you have a cryptocurrency wallet. We recommend Edge Wallet. It's a great one. But there's a bunch of those out there. You get your crypto wallet. You sign up over it. Helpmetakebitcoin.com. Username and password. That's it. That's all you
don't
need.
even need that anymore.
No, are you serious?
We made it easier.
Yeah,
how do you get into this? How do you what?
There's a quick start button. So you just download AnyPay. You find it in the Google Play or Apple App Store. AnyPay is what it's called.
Yeah.
You hit one button, quick start, and then just type
you paste your Bitcoin Cash address.
Paste an address, and you're in.
Okay, but
that's it.
I got to ask you all these things on the air now since I've discovered this on the air. If you're doing a quick start, how do you then, let's say the tablet smashes onto the ground after you've already received, a few $100s worth of
it already went to those addresses where you were sending
all the money's in your wallet already. It doesn't go into the cash register app.
Right. So then in that case, you would just quick start again and no account necessary.
If you want, you can also add an account after you quick start. So we reversed it where you don't need an account because people in the Bitcoin Cash world were like, we're not going to use this. We don't want to put in an email address.
Yeah,
even though we said it can be a fake email address.
Yeah, as soon as they got to the register screen where it was like, oh, put in an email and create a password, they're like, I'm done. No way. This is too much. So, but they're right. It should be easier
violated.
than that.
It's amazing. It's amazing because I was like, I thought it was too easy to get into this, and now
it's
you're
even too hard
easier.
now. We want to make it where you just type in your phone number and then you're ready to go.
Okay. And you have like tons of addresses set.
Because it'll connect to coin text or something like that.
Which is another cool aspect. There's so many cool aspects about helpmetakebitcoin.com, and now it's even easier than I was saying that it was. So it's good to know that. Thanks for coming here and updating me on how this process continues to get just as easy as it possibly can be. Go to helpmetakebitcoin.com and get started with that. Or miss out, because right now, as I mentioned when you guys showed up here, I think tonight, the price of a Bitcoin today hit over $5,600 US per Bitcoin. And that's if this were October of 2017, we would be at a record high. Now, Bitcoin did set a record high in December of 2017 at around $19,000-$20,000. But this is an incredibly high point in the whole history of Bitcoin. The entire 10 years that Bitcoin has been around, it's only ever been, the first time it was at 5,600 or whatever was in the middle of October of 2017. So, people that look at the price and talk about the bubble and that it's tumbling down and all that. Yeah, it's tumbled down to what was a record high in 2017. This is incredible. The price. You
could also look at it as the S&P 500 is near an all-time low.
Is that right?
Well, compared to Bitcoin. And because as Bitcoin becomes the global unit of account, prices will be denominated in terms of Bitcoin, not Bitcoin denominated in other prices.
Right.
So you'll
that'd be awesome.
People will be like, wow, the price of housing is actually going down a lot, not going up.
Compared to Bitcoin.
Right. So if you're living in the compare everything to Bitcoin world, then you have a different viewpoint on what prices are. And if it's correct, then you're going to end up profiting a lot.
You can learn more about all of that. Helpmetakebitcoin.com. Let's go to the phones here. Sarah is on the line in New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
Yes. So today, a postal carrier got shot and killed by a teenager.
Where?
On the west side here in Albuquerque.
Okay. What's the story? Do you know why this? Teenagers don't normally just go around shooting postal carriers. Was there a fight?
Well, he was delivering mail, and the teenager was fighting with his mother, like domestic dispute. So the postal carrier, he intervened to stop the fighting, and then he came to attack the postal carrier, physically assault him. So he pepper sprayed him, and then he came back with a gun and shot him to death.
So the postal officer pepper sprayed the teenager, and then the teenager shot in response?
Right.
Okay.
Right, yeah. He turned around, he grabbed the gun, came out, and shot him.
I guess the carrier should have been carrying a gun, huh?
Probably not allowed.
Well, I think they're only allowed to carry a pepper spray, but do you see why I feel that we need gun control?
No, I don't see that. It seems to me like the Postal Service should be allowing its carriers to pack heat.
If they do that, there's going to be more gun violence.
Why? Are you saying the postal carriers are dangerous people and you don't want them to be armed?
Well, do you think he should have pulled out a gun and shot the kid? Is that what both of them shot?
Well, I don't know what happened before I don't know what transpired.
It sounds like he escalated the violence. According to the story you just told, Sarah, the kid was fighting with his mom, not a postal carrier problem, but he decided to intervene with pepper spray, which escalates the use of force. Right?
No, he intervened. He tried to stop them physically, and then the kid came out to assault the guy.
Well, if the kid wasn't using pepper spray, then the postal carrier escalated the use of force.
So, just to be clear, kid's fighting with his mom. Postal carrier gets involved to try to break it up. Then, in the fracas, postal carrier pulls out a pepper spray and uses it against the teenager.
This guy sounds dumb. Postal carrier getting involved in a domestic dispute. He's not trained for that. He doesn't know.
Well, look, there's nothing wrong with stepping in a violent fight and trying to stop a fight from happening.
Well, unless you get shot.
Well, obviously there are obviously risks involved in doing that. But Sarah, thanks for the call tonight. And no, I don't think gun control's the answer here. 855-450 free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Although if that postal carrier had a gun on his hip and walked up, that might have stopped the fight without him having to even touch it.
Don't you hate that feeling in the pit of your stomach when the police pull you over? Most people have no idea how to handle it properly, and they promptly get fed into the municipal fee-generating meat grinder. Or maybe you recall that feeling you get when you go to the mailbox and see one or more letters from the IRS. You get a sense of impending doom, don't you? So let me ask you, if you could learn how to use the law to beat the IRS, traffic tickets, almost any courtroom scenario, collectors, credit card debt, and even mortgage debt because of fraud perpetrated against you, would that be worth knowing about? Don't laugh. Investigate. Check out the life-changing benefits of the Lighthouse Law Club at their website, lighthouselaw.club. That's lighthouselaw.club. And while you're at it, visit the Lighthouse Law Club YouTube channel. You might be in for a pleasant surprise.
Free Talk Live.
Hey, it is Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever is on your mind. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We have the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. And with you in the studio here tonight, it's Ian.
Derrick J.
Steven Zeiler.
Steven, are you ready to talk about CRISPR?
CRISPR is cool.
It sounds like something I'm going to get at Kentucky Fried Chicken. You know, it sounds like a sandwich.
It's a drawer in your refrigerator.
Yeah.
If you want genetically modified chickens, then you'll be having CRISPR at your Kentucky Fried Chicken. And actually, one thing they just came out with, so CRISPR is a pattern in the DNA that can be manipulated, and
it's an acronym, right? CRISPR.
Yeah, it's like a type. Yeah, CRISPR, and I believe it's a clustering of DNA information that is easily detected and then replaced with other DNA. So, and they can apply.
It's like a chunk of DNA that you can substitute with other DNA.
I think that's kind of how it works, and it's a technique for performing this substitution. And so, like
live. Well, something's alive, like you can do it.
Or in like the cells when they're replicating to become a new thing, like they can take chicken cells and then replace some of the DNA in them so that they're hypoallergenic.
Huh?
Like
what does that mean?
It means that like an allergen that may cause some kind of inflammation in a person when they eat an egg, if they're allergic to eggs, well, they can remove that part.
Wow.
Oh, good.
Does that mean they can make peanuts so they don't make people allergic? Can you have a hypoallergenic peanut?
That is exactly what they're thinking about, and doing this for all kinds of stuff and making like plants drug resistant or like insect resistant or
there has to be a major Luddite pushback against this. Have you heard? Are there like the anti-CRISPRs who have come out and are protesting this thing?
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the idea is that you could edit all kinds of organisms, and they've even been composing different like fish with monkeys and stuff, and like adding genes from one to another.
Wow.
It's pretty
What's
crazy.
the benefit of fish and monkey?
Crazy
food?
animals. It could be delicious. It could have. It could be terrifying. You know, who knows?
Or you take some sort of aspect of a fish and then make it so that some other animal has that same aspect, whatever that might be. I don't know what that is.
Or like
4-second memory span.
They had like corn where they modified the corn DNA to grow HIV medication.
Wow.
So the corn grows the medication for people with AIDS?
Yeah, that's right. So it would just it just grows in the corn, and then they can like extract it right out of the corn. They can modify all kinds of cells, including human cells.
This is incredible. I mean, and this is just scratching the surface, right? I mean, this is a relatively new technology.
They like the conspiracy is that they'd like you to think that it's relatively new, but it's been going on for a long time, like perhaps 100 years.
What?
And then there have been all kinds of experiments.
Really?
Yeah, but now it's coming out.
Better
of course, like with technology that they want to keep hidden, they wait a long time to really tell the mainstream. I mean, this was like on the mainstream news.
What brought you into it? How did you find out about it?
I've been following along for the last couple of years about it, but it was on Hacker News today. An article about hypoallergenic eggs where they're modifying chicken DNA.
Now, aren't there people who are body hackers or like there's like the hacking thing that people do to themselves?
Biohacking.
Biohacking, that's what it is. these guys are totally going to be into this.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they're already hacking their own bodies to try to change their skin or their eyes.
Live longer. That's one of them.
Yeah. All kinds of things, trying to change their heart cells to work stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Basically upgrading your body with these. Now, I mean, is there like a device? How do they go about doing it? Or do they like extract blood and then change the blood and then inject it back into you? Like do you know anything about the process?
I think that they inject proteins into the cells directly, or they put things into the bloodstream that can penetrate the cells, and then then it finds these clusterings of DNA that are matched, and like it can just replace. I don't know exactly. I'll learn more about it. It would seem like an
enzyme. Wouldn't that? Isn't that like an enzyme's job to go around the?
That's right. Yeah.
The cells and modify things.
I think the end game, really, what they're doing is trying to have undying human bodies. Right. Everlasting life.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
Undying, not undead. Maybe.
Undead implies that you were dead, right? And you're
and you become
now.
undead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were going for just not dead.
It wouldn't be impenetrable bodies. Like you could still get your head severed by some freak accident or run into by a bus. That's not going to, imagine, save you in that circumstance. But the natural death could be eliminated, is the idea.
Adamantium-lined spines.
It could be coming.
Yeah.
They're probably working on the head replacement part, too.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's pretty cool. CRISPR. So I imagine one could just Google CRISPR, CRISPR, and learn all about that.
Yeah, what would you have changed in your DNA?
You know, I've kind of, when I was younger, I liked the idea of living forever, and I don't know if I really want to live forever, but it'd be nice to extend life until the point where I'm tired of it, you know, like to be able to just say, okay, I've had enough.
I think most people get that. When I see old people who are really old, they all seem to be like,
done.
After 80s or something, they're like, yeah, I did it all. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty satisfied, you know? Not that I'm looking to die, but I feel like
it's okay.
It's all right.
Accomplished. Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Right.
I think Derrick J would get so that his hair doesn't grow on his body.
Definitely, yes.
Are you obsessed with removing all kinds of hairs?
Yeah. Well, I spend a lot of time doing it. I've spent a lot of money doing it.
Yep.
And I know I'm not the only one. There are a lot of people out there who laser hair removal has come down a lot, you know, in terms of price. So it's pretty easy to get like basically your whole body lasered.
And does it go away forever if you laser it, or is it like goes away for longer?
A long, long time. So basically, I mean,
some of the follicles are just obliterated.
Really?
They're gone. They don't come back. I got it on my face.
So you don't ever shave?
I have a few left to go, but I barely have to shave at all.
Wow.
Yeah, it's nice. It saves a lot of time.
But what if you decided later that you wanted?
I don't want it.
Okay.
I know. I know deep inside I don't want a beard.
That's always the question.
And I think also it wasn't very good to start with. My beard DNA. It's not good. So
was it patchy?
But you know, if I want, I'll just get some CRISPR, throw it in, and I'll get
add
a
it back.
Bring it back.
Add it back.
Yeah, they should just. CRISPR should be in pill form, you know, so that it's you've got a jar of pills for a good beard, jar of pills to remove all your leg hair.
Isn't that what people want? That's what people want. They want to be able to just pop a pill and have a thing happen.
Yeah,
right?
Skip the pill. I don't know how to make it easier, but I don't want to even do that. That's too much work.
Oh, they'll figure it out.
Have it put in your water like fluoride.
I think it should be in songs. It should be like through waves in the air. That
so you
just
can listen to CRISPR.
Yeah, you know, you just put it on in the background. You don't even hear it. It's like white noise. And then
it's programming you. It's reprogramming your body.
Modifying all your genes.
That sounds really dangerous.
So it modifies a cell, and as that cell reproduces, the new cell's DNA has the new DNA.
It's probably already happening now that I think of it. I mean, have you heard of the experiments that they do with plants where they'll have plants that are listening to Mozart versus plants that are listening to Metallica or something.
Or nothing at all.
Or nothing, right. As a test group. And the plants that are listening to Mozart, for some reason, do a lot better and produce more fruit and all of that. So I'm sure that they can do CRISPR through the waves, the same way as we do music. It's all
that's a
affecting
scary idea, right? Like if all you had to do was have sound waves pointed at people to modify
you could use it as a
DNA,
weapon.
Yeah, that the government's going to be.
What
into
if they
that.
modified your blood to like release DMT or something?
Whoa. That could be really distracting.
That's
the adjective you think of.
I wouldn't be able to get anything done. Like if my blood was flowing with DMT constantly, it would just be really hard to do anything. You know?
Yeah.
For listeners that don't know, DMT is a highly psychedelic hallucinogen. I mean, it's pretty amazing. It's fun in short doses. It's a good thing it only lasts for 5 to 10 minutes, because if it were longer than that, it would be pretty intense. It's intense for 5 minutes. More coming up here. Our number is 855-450-FREE. If you want to join us, 855-450-3733. You can take control of the airwaves here on Free Talk Live. And we've also got the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. This is Free Talk Live. It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything that you want here. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We've got the Discord on-air call-in lines over at discord.lrn.fm. So hop into one of those rooms. We'll get you on the air with us here. Ian, Derrick, and Stephen in the studio here tonight. And, of course, you can bring up whatever you want. We were talking about technology to some extent with CRISPR, the ability to actually edit DNA, as I understand it. And I'm not saying I understand it that well, but Stephen is definitely into it. And, of course, you can call in about anything that you want. Wired Magazine had a piece recently by Emma Lanso about platforms like YouTube, Facebook, these mega corporate internet platforms demanding centralized censorship. And that's not a good thing. Story here, again from Wired, in the aftermath of the horrific attacks at the Al Noor Mosque and Linwood Islamic Center in Christchurch, New Zealand, internet companies faced intense scrutiny over their efforts to control the proliferation of the shooters' propaganda. Responding to many questions about the speed of their reaction and the continued availability of the shooting video, several companies published posts or gave interviews that revealed new information about their content moderation efforts and capacity to respond to such a high-profile incident. This kind of transparency and information sharing from these companies is a positive development. If we're going to have coherent discussions about the future of our information environment, we, the public, policymakers, the media, website operators, need to understand the technical realities and policy dynamics that shape the response to the Christchurch massacre. But some of these responses have also included ideas that point in a disturbing direction toward increasingly centralized and opaque censorship of the global internet. Before we go on, just talking about the Christchurch shooting video, did either of you happen to see it?
Yeah.
Sadly, no, I didn't see it.
Why is that sad?
Because I tried to find it.
Oh, but it was censored?
I couldn't find it. And I couldn't find the white paper either.
Really? There's a whole wide internet out there. Would you do like 3 seconds of searching?
I didn't look that hard,
okay.
But I wanted to find it easily.
Yeah. The white paper is easier to find if you know the name of the paper, and I forget what it is at the moment, but it had a certain title. So like shooting or searching for a New Zealand shooter white paper, you'll probably dig around and then eventually you'll be able to find the name of it. And then if you search for the name of it, you'll probably find the PDF of that. I actually found a site that was trying to charge $1.
Nice.
To let you download the PDF. But we posted it on our Discord server. So when it was all going down, we posted the white paper. We posted the link to the video that was posted. And, it's a horrifying video. It's innocent, peaceful people being slaughtered by some lunatic with a rifle.
So am I the only one who thinks that it's kind of a good thing that these companies want to strengthen their censorship? Hear me out.
Why?
Because that which you resist persists and grows stronger. And so the more these people and companies try to censor what you and others are able to see and say, the stronger your ability to break through it becomes. Like, out of this, maybe it was slightly before, but when I realized about this tool called Dissenter. Have you heard of this?
I've not. What is it?
Okay, so Dissenter is like this add-on to Firefox or Chrome or whatever that lets you see comments section on articles that have been blocked. So you go to a website on Wired or New York Times and it says, oh, comments disabled. No. You turn on Dissenter and there's a whole bunch of comments that people are already talking about what's going on in this story. They're saying whatever they want and it's uncensorable.
Hold on. So are the comments stored in Dissenter's database?
Yeah, so Dissenter is like this other app, and it's like a censorship-resistant app where the whole idea is you can say whatever you want.
Wow.
So from this censorship comes tools that make censorship impossible. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do see what you're saying.
And it's a good
People are
thing.
rising to the occasion.
The more they try and what is it? Grip the sand. The more the sand falls out of their fingers.
True. However,
if they go after this Dissenter app, they'll push it further into the blockchain where they have, in a distributed database where people are paying a little bit to just have it in there forever.
But you were not able to find the video, and you were looking for it. So, I see what you're saying, Derek, but, isn't Stephen an example? He's not, when it comes to the internet, inexperienced.
He's lazy.
Yeah, definitely lazy. Yeah.
He was like, I'll do one Google search.
Look at the top three results.
I was like, I can't find it. How about porn?
Yeah.
Well, apparently, all you had to do was ask Derek, and he would have shown you the video. But
yeah, I think
he wouldn't show me.
Oh. Well, it's not really a turn on.
Yeah, it's not a good video.
Yeah.
No, but actually not being able to find it made me trust the search engines and the media even less. It's like,
it's there.
Give me the news. Show me what happened.
You
want to
find
all
this
made up.
Right. You're searching for it because you want to find it.
What they're saying now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're not letting you.
Yeah, I don't want them molding my version of reality. That's not fair. I don't think that's good.
Well, the more alternatives that are available, the better. And the more upset people are at these big platforms, that's certainly a good thing, right? Like, if people catch wind that they're not able to see the things they want to see on these places where they're spending all their time, maybe they'll stop spending their time on those places and go elsewhere.
I just realized, I think that Dissenter is a byproduct of Gab. Have you heard of Gab? Which is a
Gab
byproduct
is an alternative
to Twitter.
Platform to... Yeah, Twitter, basically.
It's basically Twitter, but for people who've been kicked off Twitter.
Yeah.
So,
And now they booted Chris Cantwell off of Gab.
Yeah, so it's imagine how hardcore it's going to get now. So I just think, the more these places censor, the more censorship-resistant things are created.
I think so
go
that's a fair
for it.
Point.
Do it. Yeah, keep trying to censor, guys. You're only hurting yourselves.
I don't know if I don't... While I don't disagree with you, I at the same time don't want to cheer on censorship.
Well, I do. It's not government censorship.
True.
Well, for the people who don't find their way outside of the censorship, it's hurting them. Like, all the people who aren't going to go out of their way to find a thing like Dissenter or whatnot, it's hurting them. But that's where they are, and they're going to be
not
stuck
ready to
in
be
that.
Outside of that anyway.
They're going to be stuck in it forever. They're going to be using the dollar, too, when it's worth, less than a penny.
Yeah. Well,
they're still using pennies.
They're still using pennies.
Yeah. A little bit more here from this story. So let's see. Some of the responses have included ideas that point in a disturbing direction towards increasingly centralized and opaque censorship of the global internet. Facebook, for example, describes plans for an expanded role for the Global Internet Forum to Counter Terrorism, or GIFT.
You need an echo feature for that.
The
Global Internet.
I actually have those features on this board. I've never really spent the time to learn how to use them. The GIFT is an industry-led self-regulatory effort launched in 2017 by Facebook, Microsoft, Twitter, and YouTube, four of the worst of the worst. One of its flagship products is a shared database of hashes of files identified by the participating companies to be, quote, extreme and egregious terrorist content.
Oh, no.
So basically they're sharing their blocking database at this point. And you can share your thoughts with us. 855-450 free. That's 855-450-3733. Do you support increased censorship? It's free time. I want to tell you about my favorite cryptocurrency wallet, Edge Wallet, at edge.app. Edge is the wallet I use more than any other, and that was true long before Edge Wallet became a sponsor of Free Talk Live. Edge Wallet allows you to buy, sell, trade, and securely hold your cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, tokens, Monero, Ripple, Dash, Bitcoin Cash, and more. It's available for both Android and iOS, and you can download it via the Play or App Store or via Edge Wallet's website, edge.app. Secure your freedom with Edge Wallet. It is Free Talk Live. You can bring up what you want. Our number is 855-450-FREE. Like freedom, that's 855-450-3733. Also, our Discord on-air call-in line rooms. They're open and available to you over at discord.lrn.fm. As we continue, Ian, Derrick, and Stephen here in the studio. And I want you to check out liberty.menu. For a long time, libertarians, voluntarists, liberty-loving anarchists have been asking for liberty.menu. But they didn't get it until just last year. Like, there were a couple of attempts at different sites that tried to do what liberty.menu did, and they just never got it right. Liberty.menu got it right. It's super easy to use. It's a business directory, basically. And you can also list your digital content that you create there, as well as the events that you might be involved in or you're trying to help promote. And other liberty-minded folks, people who reject the initiation of force and agree to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle, will see what you put up there. And then maybe you'll get some new business from somebody that didn't know you existed before they went to liberty.menu. And it's free to do it. So do you not want free publicity for the thing that you do? You got to go over to liberty.menu and try it out. Free to do, free to list more than one thing. So it's not like there's a limit. You can put a few different things up there, no problem. If you want to upgrade, there are some upgrades available, but it's free at the base level. And you can use code FTL to get a special Free Talk Live listener badge over at liberty.menu.
Well, it's not free for everyone. You can't use it if you don't agree with the non-aggression principle.
That's true. Yep, that's true.
Is that right? Is that on the site?
I believe you have to pass some sort of test or whatever. You have to check off or whatever, certify that you support the non-aggression principle.
It's in the spirit of the BIPCOT no-gov license.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool site. They've done a really good job with it. Liberty.menu, check that out. Question in the chat room, the Twitch chat for you, Derrick J, from Rev. He says, what other social media are you on? I've heard of you from the Victimless Crime Spree.
Oh, cool.
So how can one who is following or listening to this show and is liking what you're saying, how can they follow more from Derrick J. Freeman?
TheDerrickJ.com is probably the easiest place to link to.
Does that link you to the Twitter?
Yeah,
and
it's got my Twitter and Facebook and that kind of stuff, and people can connect with me.
Are you on Mastodon?
No, but I should be. I've been meaning to for
Mr. Decentralized.
I know. Well, I don't claim to be big, but anyway, it's really cool.
Yeah,
I've
it's a
used
cool platform.
It's good.
Yeah, they did a good job.
I think I made an account, and I haven't done the work of actually making it nice and good. Like setting it up.
There's a server called Liberdon.
Yeah, that's the one.
Which is the libertarian server. Because for listeners that don't know, Mastodon is an open source platform that has essentially ripped off, knocked off the Twitter platform. Basically, they've got the same thing with the hashtags and the @ symbols, and the whole structure of it is very similar, but it's decentralized and federated is the term. So each person who wants to run one of these servers can determine which other servers that they connect to. So if Chris Cantwell launches a Nazi server, you can choose to not allow that server to be searched from your server. You can essentially, engage in server ostracism with the servers that you don't want to connect to. And so that's the way you have control over your server, and you could put whatever rules you want on there. So the default Mastodon server is run by some probably commie socialist types in Germany and France, and they follow all the German and French rules about no free speech and all that nonsense. And so you don't want to be there if you care about free speech. You don't want to be on the default server. You want to choose one of the other alternatives. And there are thousands of servers out there with Mastodon. So
Mastodon is pretty cool. But really where I spend most of my time, social media, is probably Twitter.
Yeah, I see you on there here and there doing Twitter.
I'm retweeting all the time.
Derrick J, or what was it, DerrickJ.me?
It's Derrick J Me, DerrickJme is my Twitter.
No, okay. But what was the website?
Oh, TheDerrickJ.com.
TheDerrickJ.com.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because I knew you used to have a .me, and so you kind of changed it up.
Yeah, it was too hard. People can't do .me.
They don't understand it, huh?
Come on. No, that's
they
not.
Don't think
that's
it's
not
a
thing.
website at all.
That is one of the problems with these creative domain TLDs.
It's .com or nothing. That's what I've learned.
You might be right about that.
Yeah.
I've been using memo.cash to post tweets.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
It looks just like Twitter. It's like a poor man's Twitter, but it posts everything in the Bitcoin Cash chain. so that it's truly uncensorable.
Sweet.
So if you can,
it is censorable.
Well, you see, this is the interesting thing. It's different from federated, where you have different servers with different content.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, everyone has all the content, but you could build a thing that like
keeps out some
filters
stuff.
out stuff.
Filter,
like,
yeah.
You have that YouTube list of hashes that you were talking about with the bad content that
Right.
they have. You could filter out the stuff from memo.cache. But if you get a full node of Bitcoin,
You got it all.
You got it all, yeah.
All right, we can get back into censorship and all that here in a moment. We actually have Ken on the line. He's calling from Alaska, listening in, I believe, Anchorage to KBYR. Hey, Ken.
Hello.
Hey, welcome.
I'm not listening right now. I live in Talkeetna, which is 100 miles north of Anchorage.
Okay, because I was going to say, I didn't think that we
were.
were live at this time of day on KBYR. So you've listened at other times and you called us while we were live. Very good. What's on your mind tonight?
Yes. I listen at like from 1 in the morning until 3, 4.
Sweet.
Well, I called about the definition of freedom.
All right.
And I like your guys' show. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
But
Thank you.
the anarchy thing, anarchy is not good. I mean, you can't have a society with anarchy. You don't have civil society. When you have anarchy, you've lost your civil society. I mean, can we agree on that?
Well, I'm not an anarchist, so I'm not going to defend anarchy, but I don't know about my two co-hosts tonight, so maybe one of them is.
Right.
Well, since we're talking about
you
definitions,
and I can get along just.
it sounds like we have a different.
Just fine, then.
I'm sorry.
Are
Ken.
you? Would you define yourself as an anarchist?
Yeah, I would. Because,
Okay.
and
No,
I
I
think
would not.
No, I'm not
Oh.
asking. I'm sorry, Ken. I was asking Derrick, who's sitting here.
Ken,
Oh,
I have
okay.
I might have a different perception of the word than you, and we might actually agree more than we disagree about what a good society to live in would look like. But I see anarchy in my life all over the place, especially in my relationships. No one tells me how to dress or who to talk to or who I can date. And
well,
in
that's
marriage,
freedom more than anarchy. Anarchy is the breakdown of a civil society. That's when you lose your laws. Everything collapses.
Yeah. See, I see it differently, because in what we call a law society, like with the government, I see less law there than in a society without a government. There's a sort of natural law to the world. Like, you leave each other alone, you keep your hands to yourself, you don't touch other people's property, they leave you alone, that sort of thing, right?
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you know what? Don't get me wrong. I think that we are so close to a point where we need to go back and follow in the founders' footsteps as they did in the Revolution in the Civil War, to crush the tyranny that was King George and his agents of tyranny, governors and stuff. Washington has become, to you and I, exactly what King George was to the founders. And we don't have much time left before we will be forced to fight a civil war. I think we need to fight it on our own terms, which would be good with someone like Trump in the White House.
I want to stop you right there.
An Obama type or
Ken, before you go
Hillary
on,
Clinton type.
I want to know more about this civil war. This is an idea that some other callers have brought up. Some people seem to really, buy this concept that there's going to be some kind of other civil war.
We're going to be forced into it, or we're going to be disarmed and made into slaves.
When you say civil war, though, who do you envision would be the sides in the civil war? What are the different sides in the conflict?
Good versus evil.
Well, everybody thinks they're good.
Babies? No. There's a clear difference.
Most people who are doing what we would
fight.
consider evil are under the belief that they're doing good. They believe,
Well, I know they are. Sure they are. Hitler thought he was doing good, but he wasn't. Let's face it.
Well, I agree with you there, but you can't square off the world as evil versus good, because everybody you ask is going to think certain people are evil who you think are good, and vice versa. I'd like to explore this a little further with you, though, if you don't mind. So stand by, Ken. We can continue here, because he's hit on this concern with the word anarchy and anarchist, and it's a common concern, Derrick, and this is why some people don't want the label to be applied to them, because there's all these preconceived notions of bomb throwing and danger that surround anarchy. We can continue the discussion. It's Free Talk Live. It's Free Talk Live. You dial toll-free and join us here. The number's 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We do have the Discord on-air call-in line rooms as well over at discord.lrn.fm. And in less than 2 months from now, it will be time for ForkFest 2019. That's right, the third year of the decentralized Libertarian Camping Festival in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire at Rogers Campground. Year number 3. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. You guys are going to be there again.
All week?
That's right.
Even more this time.
That's right. I'm very excited about that.
With the nightclub.
Tell me more about that.
Oh, my God. It has the greatest sound of anywhere around. We're pretty sure that...
Because you had some pretty badass speakers the first year
of ForkFest. Yeah, but I have
Fest.
way more now.
Oh, my God.
And I'm pretty sure it's the best sound anywhere out north of Boston between here and Montreal.
All right.
There, Montreal.
I believe it.
It's cool. So I'm going to be playing loungy, chill music most nights.
You DJ.
Yeah, I do DJ.
That's cool.
And then so 1 or 2 of the nights is going to be more dancey. And then on Monday night, of course, is the Pirates Big Gay Somalia Road Building Party.
That's a mouthful.
Disco, right. So it's going to be a blast. But
so wait, is someone going to build a road as well, or is it just the name of the party? Because the Rogers Campground could use some fixing to the roads. I didn't know if that's what you had in mind.
Maybe.
Doesn't sound like much of a party, though, to build roads.
It's a disco.
But you changed the name from Big Gay Dance Party because it was called the Big Gay Dance Party, and it was going to be at the Porcupine Freedom Festival, but some things changed. Your inspiration changed, as I understand it, and you've moved that party to ForkFest.
That's right. Well, I've been trying to realize who are the people that I like the most, who I think are doing the greatest for liberty, and how do I support them, and how do I give my energy to them? And those people are uncompromising, and they don't like to follow the rules and dictates of others when they don't think that they're correct.
The people that you find at ForkFest?
The people who forked off and initially created ForkFest, but which I believe will one day be called the New Hampshire Freedom Festival.
You can start calling it that now.
Right. So I like it more, and so I want to give my awesome musical production ability to that.
All right, cool. I'm excited because for those that aren't familiar, the Big Gay Dance Party was, I would say, one of the hallmark showpiece events of the Porcupine Freedom Festival for what I believe was 6 years running straight.
Everyone was talking about it every day up until it happened.
Yeah.
As soon as you got there, you're going to be at the Big Gay Dance Party. That was all anyone talked about.
It was what everyone was looking forward to. It was a great excuse for people to let loose, have a lot of fun, and it was a relatively safe event, all things considered.
It's a big draw,
just fun stuff. You got to dress up, look silly, that kind of thing, and have fun dancing.
It attracted degenerates,
right? The good kind. And there were contests. There was the Miss Porcupole contest as well, and so people would do pole dancing competition, and lots of great pictures, and even I think Vice came out one year and actually wrote an article about the Big Gay Dance Party. And I know that you used to host a show on LRN.FM called Prometheus Unchained, and then it became Flaming Freedom.
Right.
And there was 1 year where Buzz, who was the original founder of the Big Gay Dance Party, she had to take some time off, and so she couldn't host it.
Oh,
and
yeah,
so
there was
you
a
guys
Flaming Freedom.
Yeah.
Through the Big Gay Dance Party 1 year.
So people thought it was so important they wanted to continue the party, even though the original founder wasn't there that 1 year. And then she came back and kind of took the torch back, and it retired. I think the last year was 2015. So it's been not quite half a decade, but it's been a few years since there's been one of these things.
But it is so important that someone who knows how to throw a big gay party does it for the libertarians in New Hampshire. But it's also important to do that at ForkFest.
Yes.
Because we want to bring all the great energy to ForkFest, of course.
ForkFest.party. So now the Big Gay Dance Party, or whatever the longer
Big
term
Gay
was,
Dance Party.
That's going to be the sort of the, I guess, the apex or the end. It'll be the final night, probably the biggest night of ForkFest. Usually the last night's the biggest night. So that'll be the big thing to do on the last night of ForkFest. Very cool. And I know Jay Noon made a comment in the ForkFest chat room that he's super excited because he got married at ForkFest last year. So this is his 1-year wedding anniversary, and he's going to be celebrating it at the Big Gay Dance Party with his wife of 1 year.
One thing, Jay, and I know that you're listening, the dress code is spectacular. So dress spectacular.
Not just for Jay, it's for everyone.
It's for everyone. Yes.
Uh-oh. I don't know if I have spectacular. I'll have to figure that one out.
You've got time.
Forkfest.party. You can go to learn more about the event there. It is a decentralized event, so call it what you want. In fact, it was originally called Somalia Fest.
Yeah.
In its first year. So, whatever it is, it's usually the 5 days before the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and now Forkfest is officially sponsoring the Porcupine Freedom Festival, which is kind of cool to see the thing that grew out of the Porcupine Freedom Festival turn around and give sponsorship money to Porkfest, which is pretty cool. So it's nice to see the two events are, in a friendly coexistence.
That is cool.
Friendly competition.
I think it's great because it's people separating and specializing in what they want the most.
Yeah.
So if there's a group of people who really want to make a child-oriented event, then it really shouldn't be other things.
Like a family event is what they're trying to do with
Porkfest. Well, like family could involve old people too. I don't know. Yeah. But it should be more focused around that, and it shouldn't be distracted by other things.
Crazies.
Crazies.
Right. But I want crazies.
Right.
Yeah, we like crazies. They like to change and disrupt things more, and people who change and disrupt should be able to do that, and people who want to keep things conservative are good too. They're libertarians.
Right. Now, as long as you look, what was it, fabulous, or what was the dress code? Sorry, it wasn't fabulous.
Spectacular.
That's different than fabulous.
That's right, yes.
Spectacular. As long as you're spectacular, you can get in. Whereas before,
and you have to have a Bitcoin Cash address. We have a new app that scans, and if it's not a Bitcoin Cash address, you don't get in. But
this is a real thing.
So wait, you have to have a wallet to receive Bitcoin Cash?
You just have to have an address. If you don't have a Bitcoin Cash wallet, then you can't get in.
So you're not paying Bitcoin Cash to get in.
You might even get Bitcoin Cash because now we have your address.
Door prizes.
But you have to be cool enough to get in, and that means you have a Bitcoin Cash address.
Okay.
That makes you cool enough.
Well, now, unless you have the GIF.
What is that?
What?
Well, we make special GIFs for our party. They circulate around on the internet.
Okay.
So if you have the GIF, then you can get in.
That gets you in.
Extra special.
If you don't have a Bitcoin Cash address.
Yeah, that trumps all.
Yeah, the GIF. It's good.
Forkfest.party. So the other nice thing is you don't have to buy a ticket because there's no ticket to Forkfest. It would have been that someone would have had to have had a ticket to the Porcupine Freedom Festival if they wanted to attend the Big Gay Dance Party. Now, as long as you're spectacular and have a Bitcoin Cash address, you can get in.
That's the other thing. I really wanted the people who work at Porkfest to be able to attend the party, but if they're working, they can't party.
Go.
So if it happens the day before Porkfest starts, then all the organizers and everyone else can let loose and really go crazy, without having any responsibilities.
It's the best of all the possible worlds.
Yeah.
So, nice job, guys. Thanks for putting that during Forkfest. Again, these are some of the things that are going on. Jay Noon's got Man Camp that he's doing. There's going to be at least a couple of food vendors that I understand are going to be there throughout pretty much all of Forkfest this year.
It's growing.
It is. It's definitely growing, and it's growing in whatever way it wants to because there's nobody who's in charge. There's no board of directors. And by the way, in case people were wondering, I have not been ignoring our caller because he dropped off the line, unfortunately, because I really wanted to continue that conversation. He dropped off sometime during the break, but I still think we should continue the conversation.
We can apply it to Forkfest too. So the guiding principle behind Forkfest is anarchy, in that the rules are not set by some people that are deciding. And basically, it allows people to have more autonomy in what they do.
From one perspective, I could see how you could say that, but it is still happening on private property, and ultimately the campground does have some set of rules.
That's right. So I see anarchy as a spectrum where on one end you have less people deciding what the rules are and more like natural rules that you can kind of derive from physics. And then on the other end you have a lot of people deciding rules for other people. So at Porkfest, you have Rogers Campground, and then you have like the state, and then you have the organizers of Porkfest, and then you have the volunteers who have granted themselves powers that will come tell you what to do. And so
it's a little bit like the Stanford prison experiment when you put these people in positions of authority and they can boss people around. They start doing car searches for Chris Cantwell.
That was a few years ago.
Very bizarre. You see what happens when when you allow people to grant themselves rule power over others. If no one at Forkfest can grant any additional rules to themselves.
That's true. Beyond whatever the campground has, essentially. And they're pretty laid back, from what I can tell. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We got a whole hour to go. Plenty of time for you, your calls and thoughts. And we can continue the whole anarchy, fear-based discussion that was happening earlier. Is anarchy civil? It's Free Talk Live.
And not to mention the shedding, I would vacuum the carpet 3 times a week. Frodo was scratching all night long, bouncing on the side of the bed, keeping me awake the whole entire night from all the scratching and chewing. It kind of makes you neurotic.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy?
Mounds and mounds of fur all over the place.
Come to Dinovite for help.
DINOVITE.com. If you want the dog to be healthy, you got to feed it something healthy.
Dinovite is nutrition.
The omega-3 fatty acids.
Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa.
Our vitamins and enzymes replace the nutrients cooked out of most commercial dog foods.
He gobbles it up. He's not up all night scratching. His shedding is minimal, and it is such a pleasure to have my calm, relaxed, non-shedding puppy back. And I have to thank Dinovite for that.
Don't let your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy.
Come to Dinovite for help.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
Free Talk Live.
Yep, it's Free Talk Live. We're launching into the third hour of the program. Open phones, as always. You can take control of the airwaves. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We do have the Discord on-air call-in line rooms. They're open and available to you at discord.lrn.fm. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
Derrick J.
Steven Zeiler.
And I said we were going to continue the conversation that our caller had brought up in the last hour. He was concerned with anarchy. He understandably believes that anarchy is this, uncivil thing, this violent order or lack of order, and this is the typical viewpoint of a person who hears about anarchy, because normally when they hear the word anarchy, it's in some news report, and it's referring to some commies that are smashing a Starbucks or McDonald's storefront window. They've got Molotov cocktails. They're rolling a huge dumpster through somebody's, some business's front door. I mean, there's just all kinds of terrible things that are associated publicly with the word anarchy. And sometimes they'll interview these so-called anarchists, and they are not saying the things that you are saying, Derrick J. Freeman.
Yeah.
Not even close.
Yeah. So does that make the word useless? Like, have they ruined it?
I would say it is ruined, yes.
I mean, okay.
And I feel like it is a futile attempt to try to undo damage that has literally been done over decades.
I'm not trying to undo anything. I just think it's the most accurate term because of its roots.
Well, now wait a minute.
Anarchos.
You were trying to do something.
No.
You were trying to persuade the guy on the phone. Now,
I was just saying, look, I think we have different ways of viewing the word.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
But we have the same view of the world, that we see things pretty much the same way.
And I wish he would have stayed on so we could have seen some more of that, because I think you're right. He was a critic of the idea of the state or the government and government control.
Right.
So there's probably a lot to agree on.
And he also liked natural rights.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he agreed that there's just sort of the rules we all learn in kindergarten are the rules that are good to live by generally. You don't hit, you don't steal, you keep your hands to yourself. And,
right.
You own the product of your labor, that sort of thing. But my observation through life has been that the more government, the less rules. For example, government people, they claim there are all these rules, and I have to follow them, but they don't. And that makes for a really unpredictable, chaotic society. Like, the more rules there are in the tax code, for example, the more complicated and impossible it is to follow them, and the more criminal people become, but not through any fault of doing anything actually dangerous, just through the fault of not being able to follow all these convoluted rules. So,
well, if it doesn't apply to everyone, if it's not the same, then it's not a rule at all.
Yeah. So that's my point, and that's what I try and bring up when people talk about anarchists, this or that. It's just that anarchos, no Arcos rulers, no rulers. So no one rules over me. I own my own life. I'm responsible for my actions and the product of my actions. If I hurt somebody, I have to make it right, And I think everyone pretty much agrees to that. It's a basic way everyone views life.
The definition of civil, he was bringing up the idea of, civil society is what he wants, and he thought anarchy was the opposite of civil. He thought that, anarchy was essentially chaos, but the definition of civil is different. Like, there are some pretty wide different definitions. Like, the main definitions, if you go to dictionary.com, all have to do with the state, basically, of relating to or consisting of citizens. The citizenship is a idea that is, inherent to the state. Of definition 2, of the Commonwealth or state. 3, of citizens in their ordinary capacity, as distinguished from military, for instance. Of number 4, of the citizen as an individual. 5, befitting a citizen. 6, of or in a condition of social order or organized government, as in civilized. And then finally, the one that I think he meant when he said civil is number 7 here, adhering to the norms of polite social intercourse, not deficient in common courtesy.
Yeah, when people are like, be civil, they're not talking about like, be like a citizen.
Or be a government.
They're saying be nice.
Be kind.
Nice. Yeah.
Be generous, be kind, be nice to one another. But unfortunately, that's the 7th definition there, and I actually had to hit see more in order to actually see that.
That's so weird, because I would think that's like the more commonly used
It's the way it's used, I think, but at least the way when I hear somebody using it, at least that's what I think of. But I think your point was that the government is anything but civil. As far as,
I mean, when they throw people in cages for having a pot in their pockets, or or for any kind of not paying enough child support or something, they throw people in cages for this. And then, what does the U.S. have the highest prison population in the world, more than all of the other countries combined?
Is it more than all of them combined?
Yeah, and it only has 5% of the world's population, yet 25% of the world's prison population.
Yeah. That's not civil. Putting people in a prison cell for not harming another person is not a kind thing or a caring or neighborly thing to do to another person.
Yeah, so I would say, Ken, if you're still out there listening, or anyone else who thinks that the word anarchy is bad, think about, do you like more government or less? And I'm saying less is better.
Well, of course, government are just people, right? Government are just people who are using the threat of violence to get their way.
They're people who have special authority to abuse the rules, the rules that everyone else has to live by, but they don't.
Well, they don't have authority. Authority is just an idea.
They have perceived authority in the minds of the people.
Yeah.
And so the less of that there is, the more we're all on an equal playing field, and the more we all have to play by the same rules. And that's the world I want to live in.
And anarchy is actually defined as the lack of that authority. So when less people have authority over others, that is more anarchic.
If you want to join the discussion, you can. In fact, we have Tom on the line in Detroit, listening online at freetalklive.com. Hello, Tom.
Hey, guys. Hey. Glad to talk to you tonight.
Yes, sir.
You're on a topic that we talk about all the time on the Mark Stevens chats. You guys obviously know who Mark Stevens is. He has a show on on LRN.FM.
Yeah, I like Mark Stevens. He's the author of Adventures in Legal Land, a real brilliant guy. Go ahead with what you were calling about.
Well, the first thing I'd like to discuss is, first off, words have definitions.
Yep.
They're not flexible. They have definitions. Anarchy is simply no rulers. Okay, just like monarchy is a single ruler, a king or a queen. There is no anarchy and anarchism. Anarchy does not mean chaos. It just means, simply, the definition is no rulers. And that's important. It's just like citizen. People bandy about this word that they're a citizen and you have to be a citizen. Well, there are elements to be a citizen.
Mm-hmm.
And those elements are that you pledge an allegiance for protection. And our Supreme Court has ruled multiple times that they are not obligated. A policeman can watch you at the side of the road be beaten to death and does not have to step in. He is not obligated. So you are not a citizen. There is no such thing as a citizen.
Yeah, I totally agree with where you're coming from, and this is not some sort of cockamamie, BS legal definition. This is this is what the definition of citizen is. It is one who owes a duty of allegiance. Duty, meaning you have to be, their liege in return for an obligation of protection. And what you're pointing out is the government people have no obligation to protect you, and they've said so clearly in multiple Supreme Court decisions and in other levels of courts. It's been said crystal clear so many times, and we've pointed some of them out here on the air when they've happened, that the government people have no obligation to protect you. So if there's no obligation to protect, how can you have a duty of allegiance in return? That's supposed to be the deal, but there's no deal. It doesn't exist.
Exactly.
It never did.
And it's exactly. And the bottom line is people don't understand, the people, and I hate to use the word, there's no such thing as the people. People don't understand that judges don't make decisions, or they don't make they don't have opinions. Their decisions are based on their bosses' decisions, and their bosses at the top are the Supreme Court. The judges, every judge below that has to follow the Supreme Court rules, and that's it. When you face a court situation, as we do, that's our main thing, these guys don't make decisions on their own. And when they do, that is when we call them out by asking questions of how they are doing that. Why
questions are some of the most powerful things in the world, whether it's individuals you're dealing with or these government goons. More coming up. Thanks, Tom. It's Free Talk Live. Hey, it's Free Talk Live. Dial in toll-free and take control of the airwaves. Our number is 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We have the Discord on-air call-in line rooms. They're available to you. In fact, that's where we're going next. And you will sound, if you're in those Discord rooms, almost like you're sitting here in the studio with us. It's Ian, Derrick, and Stephen in that studio. And you can, of course, actually watch our studio feeds on the couple of different video streaming platforms. We're on Twitch at twitch.lrn.fm, and the newest in somewhat decentralized platform, DLive, over at dlive.lrn.fm. So head over to either one of those. The DLive feed is at 480 lines of resolution, and the Twitch feed is at 720. So Twitch is higher resolution. DLive still looks great at a little bit lower res, and it's easier for people with slower internet connections to handle that. So if you were having trouble with Twitch, DLive's definitely the better option for you. Check it out at dlive.lrn.fm. And we're getting way more followers way faster on DLive. So I think that probably if we keep this rate up by the midpoint of May, we might have more followers on DLive than we got in the first year of being on Twitch. Like, our first month of DLive may exceed our first year on Twitch. So that's pretty cool. dlive.lrn.fm. As we continue, we go to your calls and thoughts here. Vaginitarian is on the line on our Discord call-in lines. Hello there.
Hi, guys. How are you doing?
Hey, where are you calling from? Virginia?
Not today. I'm from Florida.
Oh, okay. Well, welcome.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm calling to talk about anarchy and Derrick J's definition of it,
sure,
which I know is impossible for libertarians to agree on. But before we delve into it, is it safe to say that everybody would agree that anarchy means a lack of rule?
Yeah, I don't think anyone disagreed on Derrick J's definition of anarchy. I mean, lack of rulers.
I would disagree on that. No, she said a lack of rule. So it's specifically a lack of rulers, as in other people ruling over you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because there's rules in the world like gravity. Right? And there's also ethical rules that can be more logically or axiomatically derived than like, oh, because this guy said so.
Good point.
That's fair. I think lack of ruler, though, I would have to agree with Ian, because I think this is where it gets tricky, is that people do immediately balk when they hear the word anarchy. They certainly don't like the label. And I think most people don't believe that there's a possibility that we could ever exist without a ruler, even if we feel like we're self-ruled or that we can be fully autonomous. I think the possibility in it just doesn't exist, and I think that's why people fully they resist when they hear the word anarchy. They don't like the label.
Because it's just got all this baggage that's with it. So it's not that I was disagreeing with Derrick's definition. I fully agree with that definition of anarchy. That's the one I like. I'm sure if you asked an anarcho-communist what their definition, they might have a different definition of it, and one that we probably wouldn't like that much. And that's one of the problems with anarchy is you get these two distinct groups that are not really friends that argue over what the thing means, and it has all this baggage. So for me, I like to define, if I'm going to define myself as something, I want to define myself as what I'm in favor of, not what I'm against. There's nothing inherently wrong with defining yourself by what you're against. You can be anti-war. You can also be pro-peace. You can be anti-rulers. You can also be pro-voluntary interaction. I'm a voluntarist, so I think that all human interaction should be by consent, and that is a very positive statement for me to make, and it's a statement and a word that, for the most part, probably 99.9% of the time, the average person who might hear that word isn't going to get, thinking of bomb throwing. They're not going to be thinking of crazy, lunatics destroying property and anarcho-communists or whatever it is that comes into people's minds when they think of the word anarchy. So I start at zero, and I can talk about voluntarism, whereas if you start talking about anarchy, you're not starting at zero with a person. You're starting below zero. You've got to bring them back and try to explain to them, oh, no, it's not that kind of anarchy. It's this good kind of anarchy.
Are you sure you're starting at zero by using the word voluntarist? Because I see a lot of people after they hear that word say, yeah, everything should be volunteer. Like I volunteer at the animal shelter and whatever. And it's like, no, it's not really about volunteering. It's... so you're
that
actually,
one does happen.
You're inflating your word, actually. So whereas you reject a word that has a negative connotation, you're giving yourself a word that has a positive connotation already.
That's better, isn't it?
Not if it's.
Aren't you making my point for me?
Not if it's inaccurate.
There's less gains to be made too by teaching.
Well, I use the word voluntarist, which isn't quite the same as voluntarist. It doesn't have the voluntary
people
word,
still make the mistake.
They'll still make that mistake. That's true. But I find that that's much easier to correct than undoing, decades worth of programming from mainstream media. So that's the only thing I disagree on. It's just, a point of persuasion, basically.
What term do you use, caller?
I personally try not to fit into too many boxes because the way that Ian presented his argument, I think, is better. I would rather be more precise in my speech when it comes to a particular subject than to blanket myself with a term such as voluntarist or anarchist or anarcho-capitalist or what have you, because I think when it comes to anything political these days, people are getting so hardened within their identities that doesn't matter if it's anarchist or voluntarist or Republican or Democrat. There's so many assumptions that are from the get-go. So if you start with something more like I'm pro-peace and I'm anti-war, pro-voluntarism, you're presenting the depth of yourself as a person and your political views, because everybody is more than just one thing. So I think that personally I believe anarchy to be a lack of rule, not necessarily a lack of rulers. And so that's why I think that true anarchy doesn't exist, because I don't think any of us exist outside of the bound of some sort of rules. But I would say I'm pro-freedom. If I had to go, I try and choose freedom always whenever I'm making a decision.
Well, wait a minute. If you believe anarchy means no rules, then wouldn't monarchy mean one rules?
Yeah, it's about rulers.
It's clearly about rulership.
Yeah, definitely that.
But here you are. You've got people who don't even agree on what the word means, who should agree on what the word means.
If you want to be, you don't want to be against something. Anarchy is like this anti thing.
Correct.
The opposite of anarchy is authority. I think we can almost agree that the opposite of anarchy is authority. What is the opposite of authority? I think it's philosophy.
Well, authority is just an idea, right? Like authority is just this concept that people believe in. It's this sort of religious idea that another human being could somehow have this ethereal thing, this authority.
Yeah, it's a concept. I mean, if you're the president of an organization, you have the authority to fire somebody, and everyone just kind of agrees because we've got this concept in our minds that this person can do certain things. So,
sure.
It's
in
not
the case
a religion,
in the case of the company, you could argue that, well, the person has joined that company, so they have agreed to follow the rules of this person who is in charge, whereas none of us joined the government. I mean, at least none of us in this room, I don't think.
No.
Right?
Or you didn't sign the social contract?
No, I missed that one. Did you?
Oh, they brought it around at the hospital.
Right. Put your little baby print on there, little palm print. Hey, thanks for the call, Vaginitarian. I appreciate hearing from you. We continue. Your calls and thoughts, welcome. 855-450, free like freedom. You can join us here. This is Free Talk Live.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help. Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite. Pick up 2 bottles of Lico-Chops, get the 3rd bottle free. New improved Lico-Chops with omega-6, omega-3, vitamin E, and now 6 extra direct-fed microbials. Even better for the digestive tract and immune system. And dogs love it. Try Lico-Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free. This is Henry Lukasevic for Dynavite.
DINOVITE.com.
It is Free Talk Live. Just dial on in here toll free and bring up anything that you want. Our number is 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. The Discord on-air call-in line rooms are open and available to you. Just go to discord.lrn.fm and you can jump into one of those rooms there. We'll join you, and then you'll sound almost like you're sitting here in the studio with us. It's Ian.
Derrick J.
Steven Zeiler.
As we continue with your calls and thoughts, we go to the phones, to the fun. Jack is in Charlotte. I'm not sure which one. Which Charlotte, Jack?
North Carolina.
North Carolina, and he's listening via the TuneIn app. Go ahead.
LRN.FM.
That was a pretty good. He changed his voice there. He actually had me fooled there for a moment. So anyway, 855-450 free. That's 855-450-3733. Let's go to somebody who's much better. Gene, the Christian anarchist. Gene, you're on Free Talk Live.
Well, hello everyone. I did a change my mind on the Discord. I thought I'd bring it onto the air.
You changed your mind about something? What was it?
No. I believe something changed my mind. The guy behind the tape.
So you're not going to change your mind. You're challenging someone to change your mind. Okay. What was the issue?
So far, nobody's changed my mind, and I've had this issue. I've had this point of view for a long time, and that is that we already live in anarchy. Change my mind.
Ooh.
Now, the reason I say this is because there's the two-pronged attack that you can use to attack the authority of government. Number one is delegation of authorities, and I'm not going to go into that real in depth, but everybody gets their authority delegated, but from somebody above them. And if you follow the chain of command, you eventually wind up with the top guy, and you say who delegated his authority, and there's where the whole thing falls apart. But
the top guy would say it was all the people below me. They elected me.
I didn't delegate him any authority.
They could do it that
way. And you
too.
didn't delegate him any authority. So if you believe in personal liberty, or if you believe in any kind of liberty.
But there are plenty of people who do believe in authority and who absolutely do want to do everything that the person who they have elected tells them to do. I mean, there are huge Trump fanatics out there.
Of course. But their whole argument falls apart with the vote. For them, it's true until you ask them how that authority is over me, because I didn't vote. You see, so
let me see if I can play the role of the individual here, the little devil's advocate. Well, I mean, we live in society, so therefore you're part of society, and since you're here, you're subject to it. You could vote if you wanted to,
and move to Somalia if you don't like it.
There you go.
But it's very, very hard to move to Somalia, and it takes a lot of money. People can't just do that. So, but the other prong that I wanted to get into is the fact that this idea of rules and rulers, because obviously, to me, that there's very little distinction between anarchy being no rules or anarchy being no rulers, because if you don't have a ruler, you can't have any rules. At least only you can have personal rules. You can have the rules of physics, yes, but you can't have rules of authority over you if there's no ruler. So to me, they're one and the same.
Well, couldn't you also have rules in that if I go to the 7-Eleven, they may require me to have shoes on or a T-shirt? That's a rule.
Wouldn't that be an authority? If they're telling you what you have to do?
Right, and wouldn't I be consenting to the authority by going on their property in that case?
Yeah, well, you can certainly consent to authority. I mean, you can consent to individual rules and individual authority if it's voluntary. But
so then rules could exist under anarchy.
Yes, of course. I have personal rules. Everyone has personal rules, but I'm talking about rules written by a ruler, somebody who has authority over you. But the second prong attack that I have, proving that we live in anarchy, is because the rules that the supposed rulers write, they don't follow.
Right. That's what Derrick pointed out earlier.
I can cite CIA, FBI, Guantanamo Bay.
How about the judges, the drunk judges that I think David in New Mexico is called about?
Yeah. Erwin Schiff, that's he was a personal friend of mine. I mean, not a close friend, but I knew him. And that is an example that you can throw in somebody's face. Where are the rules? Because he was not allowed to put on a defense. So you can point to example after example after example that the people that write the rules don't follow them. So what we have is the big scare of anarchy is warlords. We currently live in under warlords. We have lived under warlords for 8,000 years. This is not new.
Warlords who can do a heck of a lot more damage than the warlords that people are afraid of, right? Like the warlords people are afraid of are the ones that just barely have enough men to, take over a few key choke point roads and demand money from people who want to pass through. Like that's, it's unusual for a warlord to get much bigger than that. But the warlords we have now are, call themselves governments and literally go to war and cause all manner of destruction.
Correct. And these warlords that we have all over the world, and not just the U.S. government warlords, but North Korean warlords, Chinese warlords, Iraq warlords, they all will whack. I mean, that any of them can whack anybody they want. And if somebody under them whacks them, then they become the new warlord, you see. So there are no rules. They don't follow rules. They only scare people into thinking there are rules.
And that there are no rulers. So the best way to totally dismantle the whole concept is to acknowledge that there are no rulers and there are no rules, and then you don't even have to debate it.
The whole thing will fall down like the little man behind the curtain in The Wizard of Oz when the people see that all there is some little guy pulling levers and there is no real authority. As soon as that becomes apparent, the whole thing comes crashing down. And that's what I try to do, is I try to educate people that there is no authority and there are no rulers. All there are guys with guns trying to make you do stuff. That's the bottom line.
There are people who are more intelligent and capable, and in a lot of ways those people have authority because people trust them.
Well, if you gain trust, if you gain trust individually through business transactions or personal interactions, gaining trust is a good thing. So there's nothing wrong with that, and making money out of that is not a bad thing. If you can, do some kind of productive activity that people will pay you for, that's a good thing. And all of those things occur naturally without these people, these warlords, telling us what to do with our lives. And
I love your perspective on this. I'm curious to know, Derrick, what do you think as the one of the advocates for defining anarchy earlier? Do we live in anarchy right now?
Absolutely, yeah. And that I think is provable because above states, who's above them? They're the ultimate rulers, right? These countries, but they don't have any rulers. They live in anarchy. They are making deals with each other. They're making secret backroom agreements, and no one is there to hold them to it. There's no higher court.
What are you going to do? Vote?
Yeah. So they live in anarchy. And if they live in anarchy and they're at the top, then we definitely live in anarchy.
So it's all just an illusion, basically.
Yeah. Definitely the most useful way to organize your own affairs is to treat everything as if there aren't rules and that there is anarchy, because that's really how it is. Like you may think there's rules, but then something may change and those rules are out, And now there's new rules.
And every society throughout history has collapsed when the people challenged them. When the people said, "Why do you have this ability to tell me what to do?" When the people woke up, that was the end of every type of government in the past.
Absolutely, because there are more of the people than there are of these self-proclaimed rulers every time. Yep. And as long as they're willing to actually do something about their circumstances, they can make things better. I mean, I gave an example of this earlier when I was talking about how just within the microcosmic world of the courtroom, how a handful of activists over a number of years have had what I've seen as a permanent impact on that courthouse. And for the better. Thank you for the call tonight, Gene, the Christian anarchist. An interesting theory, and I think one that holds a lot of water. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. We have time for you if you get on the line with us now. This is Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything you want. Dial in toll free. Here our numbers 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We do have the Discord on-air call-in line rooms. Just head over to discord.lrn.fm and you can jump into one of those. Discord is our chat server. That is a way for you to interact with other Free Talk Live listeners. You just heard Gene, the Christian anarchist, a few moments ago calling in. Stephen, you commented after the call that it sounded amazing, and it does, and it's free. So why not call on Discord if you can? If you've got a smartphone, you can download a Discord app. It's also available. The app is available for full-on laptops and desktops and that kind of thing. Linux, Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, you name it. They've even got a web version. So if you really don't want to download an app, you can just do most of it through the web, although I don't think you can do the voice calling through the web version. But otherwise, you can chat with other Free Talk Live listeners, so be sure you check that out over at discord.lrn.fm.
I just got handed something kind of cool. It's a unique digital token that only one person can hold at a time. And it's been passed around from person to person digitally across the internet.
Really?
And I just got handed it now.
Wait, is this the Bitcoin Lightning thing that people have been talking about? There was this Lightning network, and they've been proving that it's working by passing around like some Lightning transaction?
It's sort of like that, and there's someone who can explain a little better than I can.
Okay. On the line here?
Yeah.
Is this Neil in New Hampshire? Is that who I'm looking for?
Yeah.
Neil, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, Ian. Hey, Derek. I appreciate that you qualify that I could explain it just a little better, but I hear that you do have the distinguished honor of having what's called the SLP torch, the Simple Ledger Protocol torch. And I can get into that, and it was an honor for me. I passed it on to the Boston Bitcoin Cash meetup, and I hear now it's on your plate.
Yeah, my friend Tyler handed it to me.
Is this Neil from Lamasu?
That would be this Neil, yeah.
Hey Neil. This is an old friend of Free Talk Live. We go way back, Neil and I, all the way back to Sarasota, Florida, since before the Free State Project. Are you actually calling from New Hampshire? Because I thought you were living in Boston now.
I'm back and forth.
Okay, so, good enough.
Yep, Yep.
Cool.
But
at least you got one foot in the Shire. Torch. It counts. All right. So tell me about this SLP. What is it again?
Yeah. So there's a protocol that's built on top of the Bitcoin Cash blockchain that allows for tokens, and tokens are creative uses for basically coins on top of coins. So if you're familiar with Ethereum allows for a lot of smart contracts and tokens. Bitcoin Cash allows now for something similar with the Simple Ledger protocol. And the unique thing about this torch is that there's only one of it. So you create millions or hundreds of millions or just 100 of a particular token for a particular use, and some people have started finding uses for it. But there's a person created just one torch.
Right, just to
token.
give our listeners a little bit more on this, you mentioned Ethereum. It's I think currently the number 2, at least it's frequently the number 2 most valued crypto as far as market cap is concerned. And it was really the first one to kind of make this token thing a reality, and then this token market thing blew up, and all these initial coin offerings happened where people were selling these tokens, and people were using them to basically invest in companies, many of which fell completely flat on their face, and that's not as popular these days. But yeah, if you wanted to create a token on the Ethereum blockchain, you could just go to this token creation website and put in 1 billion, and then you've got 1 billion Neil coin or Derrick coin or whatever, Derrick token or whatever you wanted to call it. And these things are all over the place on Ethereum. So this is new for Bitcoin Cash, right? Was this a recent upgrade, like late last year? When did this come into existence?
I've only really seen it come to fruition about this year. There's another popular one called Spice Tokens, I think, based off a news media site that covers a lot of Bitcoin Cash stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the Lightning Network torch is based on the Bitcoin, or otherwise known as the Bitcoin Core blockchain, and that's a second layer protocol, and people are trying to use it as a way to get past the really high fees of the Bitcoin network.
Which are still a problem, by the way. The Bitcoin, longtime listeners will remember that it was in 2017, right around the time when you guys founded AnyPay, actually. The Bitcoin BTC fees were going insane, like $5, $10, $20 at one point per transaction. And that's one of the reasons why Bitcoin Cash forked off. It was the very first fork, or split, if you will, schism between with Bitcoin. So there was then Bitcoin BTC and then Bitcoin Cash. So these tokens didn't exist at that time. This is a newer development for Bitcoin Cash, right?
Right, and it's aided by the fact that you can send any transaction on the Bitcoin Cash blockchain for less than a penny. And right now, as of the past couple of weeks, some wallets for Bitcoin Core will maybe give you about $1.
Can I jump in here real quick?
Yeah.
So I just got this. All I had to do was go Badger Wallet, search for that on the web, install it as an extension on Chrome, open the thing up, get a receiving address, send it to my friend.
Yeah.
He sent me the torch, and now I got an address from Steven, who's sitting next to me.
I want the torch.
And Ian, you gave me the wrong style address, so you'll get the right one, and
okay.
Steven can pass it to you. So I'm going to hit send, and we'll see what happens. Steven, did you get it?
So is this like something that people are kind of
I'm passing the
on...
torch.
Yeah, but are they like announcing it online when this torch passes?
Well, we're announcing it on the air. Yeah,
sure,
so this is like a social media thing. They're announcing, I'm passing the torch to so-and-so. So Steven's my partner at AnyPay, and we use Bitcoin Cash and help make Bitcoin Cash
Didn't you just buy some
usable.
food with Bitcoin Cash
I just
tonight?
used Bitcoin Cash at the burger place in Keene.
Awesome.
And then I tipped in Bitcoin Cash the girl who rang us up.
That's so
cool.
I
used
with
Cointext.
With Cointext.
Best way to tip.
Yeah. And then I used...
I'm making a first.io order tonight with Bitcoin Cash myself and shopping on Amazon for about 10, 12% off. So
you must be in a rush.
Until now...
You must be in a real hurry to get that thing, because normally if you put in on saveatpurse.com and you put in like 20-25%, you'll usually get that within the same day.
So the water I'm drinking, I went to Corner News and got this water with Bitcoin Cash.
Yep.
It's powering this episode.
That's awesome.
And I sent the torch, and Steven, you got it right away.
I now have one Bitcoin Cash Simple Ledger torch. There's only one in the world.
Wow.
So, and this protocol, I'm guessing
it's a big responsibility.
So
It prevents you from creating any more, too. You can only make one.
I sent you a Bitcoin Cash address, so apparently that wasn't what I was supposed to send
Maybe
you.
Ian won't get it. Maybe you'll have to go online and see who wants it.
Okay.
Yeah, so far it's only been conducted over Twitter. That's how people pass it.
So is this going to end somewhere, or is it just going to get passed on into eternity? I mean, at some point, is this going to stop, or is there an arbitrary date or deadline here?
It goes forever until someone sends it to an address that's invalid or that doesn't have a private key.
or someone loses their wallet.
Right.
But that's actually the thing. This doesn't have an end, but the thing that it was modeled after, which was the Lightning Network torch, which people started, that was the original one. That was on the Bitcoin blockchain and on the Lightning Network. But the funny thing is that had pretty much an end to it when the accumulated total of the funds that they were passing along as part of the torch was larger than the capacity of the Lightning Network for individual transactions.
So you can't even pass the torch along anymore?
So wait a minute. What you're saying is the Lightning Network couldn't handle the number of transactions that ultimately its own torch got passed through?
Not the sheer number of transactions, but actually the value of it. So people, I think, were adding to the amount, or the amount was accruing as people were passing along certain Satoshis on the Lightning Network as part of the torch, and it got to be larger than the current per transaction capacity.
So it basically broke the Lightning Network.
Wow. Yeah, maybe it was around like $150 or $200. You can't spend more than that on the Lightning Network.
Well, Neil, thanks for calling and explaining this. I really appreciate it. Unfortunately, we're out of time on Free Talk Live for tonight. If you are on our video streams, however, at dlive.lrn.fm and Twitch, Aria is going to be there in just a bit.
Business owners, you want more customers? Accept cryptocurrencies. There's people all around you just waiting to spend money at your store. If only you would take it. I know, you've been waiting till someone else makes it easy. Well, good news. HelpMeTakeBitcoin.com adds Bitcoin to your point of sale, totally free. Use the same equipment you already have, now with Bitcoin. And unlike credit cards, there's no fees. Let the guys at HelpMeTakeBitcoin.com bring new customers to your store. HelpMeTakeBitcoin.com.
Did you know you can legally exit the U.S. federal income tax system? Well, it's true, and thousands of American nationals are doing it. The 16th Amendment and the Internal Revenue Code are legal, but only in a limited jurisdiction. This is the basis behind the voluntary nature of the income tax. Learn the exit strategy provided by Congress. Find out more by visiting weissparis.com and watch our numerous videos. That's WEISS Paris.com.